Hey guys, this is Seth Waters. I'm going to go ahead and do a video today on making your own sink tip leaders, your own custom lengths. The reason why I make my own and I don't purchase them outright is because I haven't found a good sink tip that's only about 24 inches, The reason why I use a short sink tip on the end of a floating line is if I'm using some streamers in a small creek or I'm in a smaller river and I want it to get down relatively fast, but I don't want a big long one. So the other reason why I don't want a big long one is because if I throw any mono on the end of it or fluorocarbon on the end of it and I've got a 10-foot sink tip, bringing that thing through the eye of my rod after I net a fish, it just sucks because then you got to mess around with it and pull it all back down. So what I've been doing is I've been tying my own, and there's a braided loop on that end, alright, and this is only, I don't know, 2-3 feet long with the extension that's on there. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's super quick, and to be really honest, it's extremely affordable. So what I do is I buy, I've got an 18-foot section here of Airflow. All right, and I think that these are, they're custom cut tips. This is 18 feet. It's more cost effective the more you buy. When I buy an 18-foot section, I'm usually getting 6. I usually do like 2 or 3 foot, so 6 or 9 tapered leaders. Sorry, not tapered leaders, but sink tips. This is in a T10, which sinks at 8 inches per second. So it's a moderate, a pretty moderate sink, but it's only the 24 inches of it. So what I do is I cut it into strips. All right, I got a bunch of, I'll hold my hand up here so you can see it. I've got a whole bunch of these that I've cut at 24 inches. The other thing that I use is I order braided loops. These are 50-pound braided loops right here. And then I also buy my own heat shrink. The reason why I do that, the plastic that comes on these braided loops, I think it's super cheap. I don't really care for it. So what I do is I pre-rig a bunch of these braided loops, just like this. So there's a braided loop. You can see it's free-flowing right now. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this E6000. This is adhesive, very good adhesive, waterproof. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. And I'm going to take a glob of it and I'm going to put it down here on this piece of plastic that I've got. Not much, literally like the size of a pea. All right, and I'm going to take that braided loop with my heat shrink over the top of it, and I'm just going to roll, all right, that braided loop down the loop, down the braid, from that piece of plastic heat shrink. Okay, so you can see I've kind of got a glob of it on there. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this up and I'm gonna twist that as it goes in. The reason why I twist it as it goes in is because it kind of sucks in that adhesive. All right, so that's in there, that's on the inside of there now. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my leader material. Okay, this is that Airflow T10, sinks at 8 inches per second, and sometimes it can take a little bit of monkeying around here, but I basically just put that on the inside of that braided loop. There it goes. Get it inside there. I'm sliding it all the way in. You can see that it's come out the other side of that right there. It's inside that braided loop. Now all I do is I look and see how far that braided loop is. It's kind of poking out right there. I'm going to pull that down. So there's probably, I don't know, this is maybe 2.5 inches. I've got about 1.25 inches on each side. And I'm going to take my lighter, and all I'm going to do is just heat up that heat shrink. It's going to come right down onto that braided loop and onto that Airflow. And with the adhesive in there and the heat shrink on that, the adhesive is just kind of a little bit of an insurance policy, but I love it. The last thing that you want on a river is for this kind of stuff to come apart on you. So that's one end. I'm going to flip it over. I've got another braided loop here with some heat shrink on it. I'm just going to roll it through that adhesive. Okay. It's a little bit of a bigger glob right there. I probably don't want quite that much. I'm going to bring this up and twist it in, and it's sucking in almost all of that. I'm going to bring it down again and then go back up, just because I think I can get more of it in there. Oh, not quite all of it. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and I'm going to put that leader line on the inside of there. If you saw how fast that went, I basically just hit a grand slam. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that usually doesn't happen. So I got it all the way in there. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that down over the top of it, and I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. All right. So we're going to heat that up. I talked about how cost effective this was. It was like $22 for that 18 feet. Say I get 9 liters out of there. All right. So 9 liters. I spent 20 bucks, got 9 liters. The braided loops are super cheap, a couple bucks for a 10-pack. I think it's like $4 for a 10-pack on Amazon. And then I went down to Ace and got these heat shrink tubes for $3.99. There's 8 of them in there. So you're literally looking at spending probably $3 per liter that you're making on here, and they tie up super fast. So that's my homemade sink tip. This is a lead core, but there's your loop, there's your leader, there's your other loop. When you put these loops on the end of here, this thing's probably I don't know, 2.5 feet long, and that's it. When that adhesive dries, I mean, even with the heat shrink over the top of that braided loop, you could probably pull on this thing pretty good, and it's not coming apart. But when that adhesive cures, it's even more. So that's it. Subscribe to the channel if you like it, share it, pass it around. I'm all about helping people find cool ways to save some money when they're fishing. All right, take care, guys.